All right, we'd like to call this meeting of the West Dallas West Milwaukee School District to order, please. If you could please rise for the pledge, and Mr. Ustrup, would you please lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Suzette, could we do roll call, please?
Yes. Ms. Klug.
Here.
Mr. Schultz.
Present.
Mr. Bailey.
Present.
Mr. Lee.
Here.
Mr. Ustrup.
Here.
Mrs. Justum. Here. Mr. Sikic.
Present.
Mr. Keller.
Here.
President Allen.
Here. Proper notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the open meeting laws of the state of Wisconsin. Do we have any additions or modifications to tonight's agenda,
I have nothing.
board members?
Scott,
Yep.
I don't know if this would fall into this, but I am recusing myself from 9.3 and 10.2.
Okay, when we get to that, I will call for,
I
that-
won't be
that would-
abstaining, I will be recusing.
recusing, got it, okay. I'll ask for that at that point, but thank you for the public declaration, that helps. Okay, we will move on to item 6, the public comments. When we call your name, come up to the podium and please provide your name and address for the record. Please limit your comments to about 3 minutes. And just a reminder that we don't debate or respond during public comments, but rather a written response will be sent out before the next board meeting. So we'll go ahead and call you guys up. So we've got Dave and Denise and Michael Odia. Close enough? All right, yes, all right. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael Odia, and I'm a sophomore at Nathan Hale. What address? Yeah, live at 3210 South High Point Drive, Berlin. And earlier, like during the summer, well, right before the summer actually, the class that I would like to take, AP Computer Science Principles, was canceled. So eventually, around the start of the school year, after getting no word, I decided to send this email to Mr. Hengel. Hi, my name is Michael Odia, sophomore at Nathan Hale. I'm interested in taking the AP Computer Science Principles class this year. However, after signing up for the class, it was canceled shortly after due to low enrollment. I have talked to my school's counselor, Ms. Houston, and the teacher that runs the class, Ms. Krasovich, to try to take it independently. After about 2 months, they recommended that I get in contact with you, Mr. Hengel, as there are no other classes available to substitute for AP Computer Science Principles in the field of computer science. I have taken the prerequisite computer science using C++, and am looking to further expand my knowledge in the area of computer science. I have taken initiatives over the summer to take courses for pre-calculus and a survey of calculus at UW-Milwaukee. I'd like to take this class this year because I'm interested in possibly doing an internship in senior year. Could you please look into any options for me to be able to take AP Computer Science Principles this year? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dave. I'm Michael's dad. After Michael sent that email, we got a response from Adam suggesting that we work with Mr. Lesser, the principal of Hale, to see if there's some way he could get Michael to do this as an independent study. So Mr. Lesser, worked with Ms. Krasovich, who's a computer and math teacher at Hale, and tried to work her schedule and see if we could get that she could actually teach Michael. And we found out that toward the end of September, Ms. Krasovich sent us an email stating that her schedule could not be changed. She did suggest that Michael take the course, say, online, like at Berkeley University, but Michael, because he was not being taught by someone within the school district, would not receive credit for it. So we were ready a month into the school year. Michael wanted that credit for doing the work, so he decided not to pursue that route. When we find out that classes like this are cut, we would like you to take a look and you say, more than just the enrollment numbers, but what kind of class is it? Classes like computer science is very important in today's environment. I work at Northwestern Mutual, and I'm a software engineer. And my company just last week has started a nonprofit organization with several other companies to develop, retain, and recruit tech talent in the city from Milwaukee. And to see something like this, to see computer classes being cut in the high school is very concerning to me. And we realize that, there are other priorities, because of the school district and the student population that is here. But we think that these classes are important and everyone should have an opportunity to take them. We also found out that Ms. Kratzovich, who was normally consulted when these cuts were made, was not consulted this year. She told us that that she was not included. And we also find that concerning.
And sorry, I'm Denise Odia, Michael's mom. In the past, Ms. Kratchovich would talk with, and they would find out, like last year, there's 2 AP computer science classes, so she combined both of them and taught them at the same hour. So she was consulted and they were able to accommodate. This year, she didn't even know the numbers of the course, so that was concerning. So we're asking that that the teachers are consulted before classes are cut, and also that you look at more than just the numbers of the students. We need to look at possible career opportunities for students when we look at classes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And we'd love to stay, but we have the other one to take to Boy Scouts.
Oh, wow.
So thank you.
We understand. Okay. That was all we had listed for public comments this evening. And then we will go on to item 7, the superintendent's report.
Great. Excuse me. Thank you. Tonight, 7.1, we're going to start with a report from West Allis Central High School student representatives. So if you would introduce yourselves to the board and to the people that are watching, and then share your report.
Good evening, I'm Mackenzie.
And I'm Cody.
We're here to update you on all the great things happening at Central this month. I'm a senior who is very involved at West Allis Central. I play volleyball, run track. I'm a part of AVID, Senior Council, as well as the president of Best Buddies.
As well as that, I am also a senior from Central. I also am an AVID. I volunteer with Interact, and I am the president of HOSA and vice president of NHS.
This year, we had our first ever back-to-back family night, placing on September 3rd. After a great first day of school, we welcomed tons of Central families to learn about academics, sports, clubs, and community resources while having fun and enjoying dinner. Families could meet teachers and discuss academics, talk to students about many clubs we have at Central, and play in some inflatables. We had tacos in a food cart run by a local parent, and we'd like to have an enormous thank you to Ms. Hanson for organizing this.
Central also got a huge donation from Milwaukee Tool in September. We received 2 pallets of power tools from them that were used to upgrade our tech ed classrooms, our custodians' tool inventory, our district maintenance staff, and we also sent some over to Hale and the middle schools. These tools put the best quality and technology in the students' hands while they learn skills, and will be the same tools they will likely use in the shops and on job sites as they enter the trades. We would like to give a special thank you to Mr. Kern.
The West Allis Central News team is off to a great start this year. Each day, the news team films announcements to be showed to students and teachers. They're edited by one of our student editors and uploaded to YouTube for all of Central to view. This is the 4th year that the video announcements are at Central. It is an awesome and great way to see classmates keeping us updated on what's going on at Central. Find them on YouTube at WAC News Page.
Central is well known for having a plethora of club options for students, and this year is no different. There are clubs and activities for every interest, including anime, archery, cooking, gaming, and student council, as well as Best Buddies and so much more. We also have some great new clubs and organizations this year, like Debate Club, the Black Student Union, and Bulldog Ambassadors. There are plenty of club choices for students, and Central has a lot of teachers excited to help facilitate them. We appreciate both the students and the staff who participate in the clubs outside of school.
Central's National Honor Society hosted our fall blood drive on October 11th. Students age 16 and up could donate blood through Red Cross and Central's IMC. We filled all of our appointment slots with over 100 interested students. In the end, we donated enough blood to save up to 155 lives. National Honor Society will run another blood drive on Valentine's Day with hopes of beating our record of 93 donors.
We had our first parent and teacher conferences on Thursday, October 10th. Teachers were excited to meet parents and discuss the progress of their students so early in the year. The next parent-teacher conferences would take closer to the end of this semester in December.
The fall 2019-2020 athletic season is coming to a close, with playoffs time approaching in the coming weeks. The West Allis Wave swim and dive team has enjoyed a nice season, with the dive team winning the Woodland conference relays. Our boys soccer team is continuing to make improvements on their great season from last year and has been competitive in many of their matches. The football team is seeing positive improvements from a group that includes new athletes and lots of underclassmen participants. Our girls volleyball team is enjoying their season with their new coaching staff, and we look forward to seeing their progress the rest of the season. Cross country is seeing success from many student athletes and have made many personal records during their races throughout the season. Our boys volleyball team is enjoying their season and are focused on making improvements. All of our winter sports are in their pre-seasons with workouts, open gyms, and meetings, working on filling out registration and paperwork in order to kick off the season in early November. We look forward to updating you on the success of our boys and girls basketball, wrestling, boys swim and dive, as well as working with Hale, bowling and gymnastics, another co-op, and we also are working on hockey, girls hockey, which is a co-op with Brookfield Central.
We have many upcoming events this school year. To begin, we have a new school play, Tuck Everlasting, who has rehearsals in full swing. The play would take place in November on the 15th, 16th, 17th, 22nd, and 23rd. Students from across the district are putting in a lot of time and effort into preparing for this play, and we hope that you all will be able to enjoy the play this year. Finally, homecoming is this week. The week begins with Spirit Days, for which students dress up for each of today's themes. This year's themes include the 80s, Tacky Tourist Day, Class Color Day, and on Wednesday, Central Girls will compete in the Homecoming Powder Puff semifinals at Honey Creek Park, with grades going head-to-head. The winners of the semifinals will play on Friday at 5 p.m. at the West Dallas Athletic Complex. We will see if the seniors can pull off a win or if underclassmen will pull off the upset. And the week ends with several huge events. The Homecoming Pep Rally takes place on Friday afternoon, followed by the Homecoming Parade down Lincoln Avenue. Come by around 4 to check out the awesome floats put together by the different grade levels and teachers. Friday evening is the big football game against Shorewood. Finally, the week finishes with the homecoming dance on Saturday night, and we hope to see tons of students participating, and all the school board members are welcome to attend any of the festivities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. We look forward to having you guys all school year.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to 7.2, the legislative update. Some bills have passed related to education. So the first is a method for providing notice of a special meeting of a school board. So under current law, the clerk of a school board, other than the first-class city school district, which in Wisconsin is only Milwaukee, or in the clerk's absence, the president of the school district must notify each school board member in writing of the time, place of a special meeting of the school board at least 24 hours before the meeting. Currently, the notice must be delivered personally to each school board member or left at or mailed by first-class mail to the member's usual place of abode. So it's the official language. This bill requires a school district clerk or clerk's absence, the school district's president, meaning board president, to notify each school member of the meeting in a manner likely to give the member notice of the meeting. So what it changes, it takes out the specific language of having to physically hand board members something for a special meeting, and you can do it through email, is essentially what it's saying. The bill also provides that if a school district clerk or the clerk's absence, the school district's president determines that providing notice at least 24 hours before the meeting is for good cause shown by the clerk or president impossible or impractical, the clerk or president may notify each school board member of the date, time, and place of the meeting less than 24 hours, but not less than 2 hours before the meeting. Bill 53 passed. This is relating to pupil records under current law. Pupil records are generally confidential. One exception to this general rule applies to what's called directory data. Directory data may be disclosed to any person if a public school notifies parents and guardians of the categories of pupil information the school is designated as directory data, informs parents and guardians of an opt-out procedure for such disclosures, and provides sufficient time for parents and guardians to utilize the opt-out procedure. And we do all of those things at the start of every school year, and it's in the employee rights and the Parent Student Rights and Responsibilities Handbook. And so there's always that opt-out opportunity. So if we get requests for directory data, then we supply that information. But what's changed here, the categories of pupil information include the definition of directory data. So pupil name, address, telephone number, the date and place of birth, major field of study, participation in officially recognized activities and sports, dates of attendance, photographs, weight and height as a member of an athletic team, degrees and awards received, and the school the pupil attended most recently. This bill adds the names of a pupil's parents or guardians to the list of categories of pupil information that a public school may designate as directory data. What concerns me a little bit with this one is we've had similar requests in the past and for public information or Freedom of Information Act requests. And because parent information isn't connected, it's not as useful to people that are trying to sell things to, in particular, high school students. So the classic example is senior pictures, right? All those kind of things. So we will likely get more requests for this information and more parents calling us going, why are they calling my house trying to sell me something? Right, it opens that door. But I think we have to look back to see exactly what we want to do in our policy with regard to directory data.
That's just, I was
Okay.
asking about, is, it says may, it's not required to include it, so
Correct,
we could then decide to not include that in our directory data.
correct, yeah. And this bill passed on fire drills. Under current law, the person having direct charge of any public or private school must drill all pupils in what to do in the case of a fire, tornado, and school safety incidents. Current law requires that these drills be conducted without previous warning. Now, this bill, the person having direct charge of a public, private school may provide previous warning of any of these drills, or if he or she determines that providing previous warning of the drill is in the best interest of pupils attending the school. And this one, I think, does make a great deal of sense, especially given the work we do with active shooter drills, and especially younger children, for us to be able to, or be allowed to let parents know that, on Wednesday of next week, we're gonna be conducting this drill so that you can have, parents have an opportunity to have some conversations with kids about what it is and why it's important, and they're not surprised by it. So I think it's a smart move in terms of, what it means to help kids understand those moments that can be a little scary even though it's practice. And then finally, a bill that's not passed yet, but requiring the teaching of cursive writing in elementary schools. This bill requires the state superintendent of public instruction to incorporate cursive writing into the model academic standards for English language arts. This bill also requires a school board, independent charter school, and private school participating in a parental choice program to include cursive writing in its respective curriculum for the elementary grades. Specifically, each elementary school curriculum must include the objective that pupils be able to write legibly in cursive by the end of 5th grade. So we currently do not teach cursive. So if the bill passes, we would figure out how to incorporate that again. And my friend and former board member Sue Sujecki, if she's watching, she's smiling like crazy right now about that. Then we'll go on to 7.3, district recognitions. So Wisconsin School Board Week, October 6th to the 12th. So School Board Week is a time to build awareness and understanding of the vital function an elected board of education plays in our communities. So today we want to honor our school board members for their commitment to their communities and students. Dan Bailey, Stephanie Emmons, Heather Justin, Brian Keller, Christine Klug, Noah Lee, Gary Schultz, Jeff Sickich, and Bill Ustruck. And thank you for the time you put in. And imagine when each of you started, you were like, whoa, this is serious. And then it kind of you get a flow and it becomes part of your life, but it is quite a commitment, so I appreciate it. Gifted Education Month is October 1st to the 31st of 2019. Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction proclaims this month, the month of October, as Gifted Education Month. And this is just a little statement from the proclamation they sent out. Whereas our children and youth are one of Wisconsin's greatest resources, Accordingly, all students with intellectual, academic, creative, leadership, and artistic gifts and talents need to be appropriately identified, instructed, and supported. And at Shared Journeys, Dr. Bonnie Ludwig, West Allis Central High School graduate and former teen mom, is hosting a field trip at Resin Labs to help students learn about STEM careers. And as part of Aurora Weeks of Caring, employees spent 2 days painting the hallways and entryway at Shared Journeys. At James Dotke, Bernie McCarthy recently took a group of students to learn about ergonomics from a professor at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. The trip was part of a larger group of activities coordinated through a local organization, Learn Deep, that promotes deeper learning in Milwaukee area schools. Dotke, along with other schools in the area, are working to redesign the coal handling system for the steam engine that runs the train at the Milwaukee County Zoo. And so part of our work with deeper learning and project-based learning is having kids engage in real problems, work that matters, right? So it's not hypothetical. They're actually trying to redesign this system. And so that's really cool, and we appreciate Bernie for taking the steps to engage the kids even further. At West Milwaukee, students Kentwan Woodland, Bobby Coleman, John Michael Williams were part of the Dean of Students and School Culture interview teams. And again, having students participate in interviews for folks that are joining their school community. I think it's pretty cool. Jane Thune Belair, say it again? Belojan. Thank you. Earned a grant from Donors Choose support her project titled Wisconsin Fast Plants, an Opportunity to Grow. The grant will be used to buy materials to grow plants that are native to Wisconsin. At Hoover, Crosspine Church donated 30 backpacks of supplies to the Hoover community, and Carthage College nursing students are partnering with Hoover to engage families in healthy habits. And at Walker, 4K, 5K teacher Amanda Barber is a Donors Choose teacher ambassador that helps bring resources to Wisconsin schools. Her work in this area has been impressive and a testament to her leadership. Teacher ambassadors have helped over 5,000 teachers post funding requests. They have brought in over $500,000 in additional funding to 900 schools in Wisconsin, including schools in our district. And then in leadership and learning, congratulations to Laura Womack on her work with our early childhood programs for learners with special needs. Indicators from the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction designed to measure our preschool outcomes have shown significant progress. The numbers are the highest they have been in recent years, with all areas being above our targets and higher than the state average. So this is helping us provide an excellent foundation for some of our youngest learners. And in recreation and community services, congratulations to Amanda Schwittenberg for being selected to present a session on program budget resourcefulness at the National Recreation and Park Association annual conference held in Baltimore, Maryland this month. And that concludes the recognitions. Just a couple quick updates. There were no public comments on September 23rd, so there's nothing to follow up there. Congratulations to everybody at Hale, staff and students. They had a great homecoming weekend and all went well. And I always kind of, as a superintendent, wait for the text to come from the principal that says everything went great, everything went great. And as we heard from our Central representatives, Central is in Spirit Week and homecoming is this weekend. As I mentioned at an earlier meeting, the facility planning process continues, and so right now we're on track to do a workshop on October 28th to really get that process moving, but we want to share kind of our planning and thinking with the board and get some feedback. So that's still on schedule for October 28th. I will be out of town next week, Monday, on the 21st. That's a workshop meeting. I think it's Recreation and Community Services, their annual kind of report and update. I'm, again, going to the free conference in Orlando. It's one that Deidre doesn't like me to go to because I do learn a lot, but it's a lot of, because it's free, it's also lots of sales pitch kind of stuff. So then I come back with new ideas on how to spend money. And then I want to acknowledge Suzette and Janice Lukey in our office. They've been working on drafts of the 2021 calendar, so we're well ahead of schedule, and that's really Suzette that kind of said, well, I'm going to start working on this calendar. And there's, what, 4 versions of it?
I think
now. And it's a calendar where, you know, we've been trying to line up, if we can, with what area districts are doing. The area districts have said we want, you know, the last full week of March for spring break. Our families have said they'd rather see it tied to Easter. Well, this year, Easter's early, and so it gets to be interesting kind of which way we're going to lean. So various versions of it, we're going to work through that internally a bit and then go through the similar process as we have in the past with some versions to the board and some feedback potentially from parents and teachers. And that concludes the superintendent's report.
Excellent, there's a lot going on. All right, so we move on to item 8. We'll do the review of the board calendar. So tonight, October 14th, we have a regular Board of Education meeting. Immediately following, we have a workshop on the 2019-2020 preliminary budget. And then immediately following that, we will have a closed session meeting. On Monday, October 21st, starting at 6 p.m., we do have a workshop, the Recreation Department's annual report. On Monday, October 28th, beginning at 6 p.m., we have a regular Board of Education meeting, including our action on the final budget and tax levy for the 1920. And then on November 11th, beginning at 6 p.m., we have a regular Board of Education meeting. Do any board members have any community items to update? Calendar items? All right. We will then move on to item 9, the consent agenda. There are 3 items on the agenda this evening. Item 9.1, the approval of minutes from the September 23rd, 2019 regular Board of Education meeting. Item 9.2, the employment summary. And item 9.3, the supplementary contracts. I believe we would need to separate that out. Would we have anybody that needs to separate anything out?
Supplementaries, please.
Okay, we'll separate out the supplementaries. So we would be looking for a motion on item 9.1 and item 9.2.
Move to approve 9.1, 9.2.
Second.
Okay, been moved and approved on items 9.1 and 9.2. Any additional comments or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and then we have item 9.3, the supplementary contracts.
Move to approve. Second.
Do we have abstentions? And your recusal and an abstention? Okay. So we have 9.3 have been moved and seconded. Any additional comments or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, so then we move on to our action items for this evening. Item 10.1, the Nathan Hale High School Pom and Dance Team Field Trip to Orlando, Florida in next spring. Michelle, you want to come up and give us a little summary?
So I need to come over and grab the microphone.
Hi, my name's Michelle, and I'm the Nathan Hale Pom coach. This is a new opportunity for us this year. We have gone to Orlando, Florida with a different organization. This is actually a national competition, so the girls would actually be going to compete against teams from all over the country. There are several from this area, southeastern Wisconsin, including New Berlin, Wauwatosa, Watertown, Franklin, just to name a few. And it's just something that, looking over the years, this is my 11th year coaching the Nathan Hale dance team, and the last 2 years now, we've implemented a lot of great things in our program. For instance, we've added elite tumbling. They come in and work with our girls. They pay for it. It's kind of like through sessions, like all summer and things like that. So we've implemented that. So we've kind of stepped up our game, if you will, in terms of the gymnastics ability and things that we have to do. And then we also work out in our weight room. Coach Rosa, Coach Courtier, they're in the weight room, and my girls participate in that all summer long, and still even during the school year, we're in there once or twice a week. And so we've really grown in terms of our strengths and different skills and things like that we can do. So I kind of have, reached out to some other teams, and they've kind of reached out to me as well, like, hey, you guys would be, really good at maybe attending this competition and representing the school. So that's where I kind of feel like we're kind of at that point now where maybe we can actually do a little bit of that competition in a different realm, in a bigger capacity. So that's what I was looking into for this year. So
Questions? Comments? If not, we'd look for a motion.
So moved.
All right, everybody wants to send these people to Florida. All right, so moved and seconded. Any additional comments or questions?
Good luck, have fun.
If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, good luck. We want a full
Thank you.
report when you guys come back.
Oh, of course.
All right, then we move on to item 10.2, the health insurance contract. Caitlin.
So this is some good news. We budgeted in, the budget that was presented on September 16th was 5% health insurance renewal. This one came in at 4.25. So it's due to our low loss ratios of recent history in the last 2 years and kind of trending lower. However, Hayes did come back and say we're lucky they didn't actually like increase it because the last month was, I think, about 110%. So I'm not sure that next year we're going to see the same 4.25. And we did request they would do a rate lock, and they denied that. So we're going to take the 4.25, and we're happy with it. And WEA did come back with also contributing $3,000 towards physical therapy equipment for our wellness center. So we're started October 2nd. So we're so excited about that. We have 12 sessions that are free at no cost to our employees or us. So WEA is chipping in for those 12 free sessions. It's through ATI. So ATI is actually coming on site with us. Now we have the equipment. So that started in October and open to everybody who's eligible to use the wellness center. So that's really awesome. So that's part of their renewal. And also what's great is that there were no changes to the plan. So we maintain our base plan and our buy-up plan, and also you'll see in the attachments all the summaries for both those plans.
Comments or questions?
Mhm.
Are we still getting the reimbursement to the wellness center as well with this?
Yep, nothing's changed.
Any other comments or questions for Caitlin? Bill?
Recuse myself as well.
Hughes? Good. So we've got two then. Suzette? Okay. All right, any other questions? If not, we would look for a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any follow-up comments or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you for your work on that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then we will go right into our workshop on financial stability and efficiency on the 1920 preliminary budget.
Okay, so I know there's a Packer game at 7, so.
We're not beholden to the Packers schedule.
Just kidding. This one actually is gonna be pretty straightforward and easy, so no real surprises or really many changes from September 16th. So the reason we chose to do this one prior to the October 28th board meeting is that we have pupil count, which is really like the biggest factor that changes in between September 16th and October 28th. However, that really doesn't affect us much, so we'll go through that. So budget updates since our last meeting. Our staffing has been updated to actual. The 2.44% CPI increase was now added to new teacher and new educational assistant contracts. So previously in the prelim budget was just returning teachers and educational assistants. So that was part of the negotiations that happened with the union, was that is now also for new teachers and new educational assistants. We have our final transfer of service value that was calculated. Our health insurance renewal increase is now 4.25, and again, we budgeted 5% for that, which that's about $55,000 that saved in our budget. And then the third Friday pupil count. So that's the third Friday in September is why we call it that, and that factors into our revenue limit formula. So I just wanted to go through the trends that we're seeing with the resident membership FTE. So these are the amount of students who live in our district, not who attend our schools, but who live here, and the FTE. So it's not necessarily number for number, it's a little bit less than our actual head count. So the last few years I just calculated the percent change. So it is trending down at, it's kind of almost an increasing rate the last couple of years. So the 2019 third Friday pupil count FTE is 8028. That's the resident membership FTE. And again, why it matters is, so I like to bring it back to big picture. So we went through the same slide last time we met, and the revenue limit calculation, the foundation of it is that resident membership FTE, and it's actually a 3-year average. So that's why it matters. It's kind of that builds that foundation. We get that 3-year average resident membership FTE, multiply it by the per pupil, add in our exemptions, and that gives us our total revenue limit authority, which is all of the money that we get via state aid and property taxes. But the good news is we did budget for, what we budgeted was in line with what actually happened. So we budgeted 80/50, came in at 80/28, but due to the declining enrollment exemption, it actually basically netted us the same revenue that we budgeted for. So that's really good news. having more money would have been great, but we're not getting less. So that's awesome that we don't have to make any changes. And then also what's exciting is that with this budget, we can still afford to maintain our 10% employee premium contribution rate, as we've been doing in the past, rather than raising it like we originally planned for the prelim budget for 1920. So for this year, we don't have to increase it to 12%, and we can still maintain that balanced budget. And then the budget still does include $1 million toward additional employee compensation. So that's once the committee meets and decides how we're going to utilize those dollars for 1920, that $1 million is still set aside for that purpose. And with all those changes, we have a balanced budget, which is very exciting. I knew we would get there, it just was a little bit of a roller coaster along the way. So other factors that are still, they're actually coming out tomorrow, so if only our meeting was like Wednesday, we've had a little bit more of information for you. But these factors come out historically on October 15th. So a prior year open enrollment adjustment. So what this is something that could equate to more total revenue for us, but essentially when we have open enrollment students who live here and go elsewhere, so they're open enrollment out, if that other school district doesn't count them in time in their open enrollment in counts, then we don't get that revenue that year, and it's adjusted for the next year. So it's just us getting money that we should have got last year this year. And historically, I think we'll probably get about, maybe this is prediction just based on past amounts, but somewhere between $200,000 and $400,000. So right now we have zero budgeted, so that's just additional revenue that would go towards our budget. And then final state aid value comes out tomorrow, and depending if that's higher or lower than was in our prelim budget, that could affect our mill rate just by a few cents one way or another. And then the other thing that is going to be set in tomorrow's revenue limit worksheets is the final voucher amount. So vouchers are entirely funded by the taxpayers. What happens is our revenue limit is increased, our revenue limit authority, the total amount of money we get is increased by that voucher number, and then we pay it out in expense. So it's entirely funded by the taxpayers. If that goes up or down from what we budgeted, it could also affect the mill rate by a few cents one way or the other. So all those factors come out tomorrow. Room for error. So accurate budgeting is said to be when you end your year, you are surplus or deficit somewhere between 1% to 2% of your total budget. So our budget's a little over $100 million, but if you think about it as $100 million, 1% is about $1 million, 2% is $2 million. Our current budget has about a 0.8% room for error. And when we looked at our fund balance history, our trend was we were high, we dipped down, we're coming back up. And it's looking good. Our trend right now is looking good. It's been increasing for the last few years. And in order to add a little bit more cushion or room for error in 1920's budget, we could utilize funds that we moved in at the end of 18-19. We moved $4 million from Fund 10 to Fund 38 as a strategic, when we need it, we could use it kind of transfer. So what, also separate from those $4 million, we have a $4.4 million debt payment to make in 1920's budget. What we could do is utilize $1 million of that $4 million that we transferred from Fund 10 to Fund 38. We can essentially decrease Fund 38's levy by that $1 million and increase Fund 10's levy by $1 million. And if we end up not needing it all, we transfer the whole amount back at the end of 1920. But it just provides us a little bit more cushion so we can more strongly ensure ourselves that our graph will at least maintain, if not increase, at the end of 1920. And we can transfer any or the entire amount back, whatever ends up being a surplus at the end of 1920. So what that would mean is the total overall levy would stay the same. It's just moving it from one bucket to the other. So the graph that is on the left is what we looked at in the prelim budget on September 16th. So 82% is the general fund and 11% was debt service. So what would just be doing is shifting those funds from Fund 38 to Fund 10, increasing the Fund 10, the general fund levy, and decreasing the debt service levy. Again, the overall levy would stay the same. Mm-hmm.
So the point of this, if I may make sure I understand properly, to doing this transfer is just to give us more wiggle room in the budget.
Yes.
In case what? So is it so that we don't show our general fund having a decrease in it?
Correct.
If we are over 0.8% wiggle room, is that my understanding?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So
but because we have extra money in Fund 38 currently to cover what our debt payments would be because
Yep.
of the other transfers that we have done, that's why we can get away with doing that.
Yep. And
Okay.
it's likely that we'll be able to transfer the whole amount back, but it just ensures us that we can keep, our credit raters and everybody, they want to keep seeing that fund balance graph trend up. So it just ensures us that we can, I feel confident that when we transfer that money, we'll for sure be able to keep that graph trending up, that fund balance graph, and likely we'll be able to transfer it back. It just gives me a little bit peace of mind.
Okay.
And also, like, that $0 that we have budgeted for the prior year open enrollment adjustment, I mean, last year was $486,000, which seems like a giant amount. That's how much we got additionally. So like, we could find out tomorrow that we're getting additional $500,000. I don't want to make guesses because it's totally dependent on those other districts. Like, it has really nothing to do with us, just how they reported those students or didn't report the students. But that could be additional $500,000 that we find out tomorrow that we have in our budget, so. So following this meeting, our remaining timeline is tomorrow we receive those other few values. We get our actual prior year open enrollment adjustments. We get our final state aid value. And then on October 28th, the board will approve the budget and the tax levy. And then by the November 10th is when we send those tax levies to the municipalities.
I have a request about the budget when we present it. Is it possible to separate out the percent portion of the levy that is attributed directly to the vouchers?
Sure. So you're saying like if vouchers are 2 million,
Whatever amount of the levy that's being made up, you said it's just added on top
Yep.
of our levy rate, right? So whenever we're presenting it on the 28th,
Yep,
I would
do
like
that.
to be able to see that difference. Say, well, without vouchers, our levy's this, our actual total levy with vouchers is this.
yep,
Because I don't think a lot of people understand that that voucher system is 100% funded by them, the taxpayers.
All of us, not
All
just
of
them,
us,
us too.
Yes.
all right, and that is all I have.
Great. Any other
Thank you
questions
for
for?
all your work.
Kayla?
Yeah, thank you for your work on this. Great job.
Thanks
Thank you for
support.
walking us through all
Yep.
the steps along the way. It's been very clear, and for answering questions and for continuing to come back and provide questions and answers and readjusting and adjusting and readjusting again.
Yep.
So, thank you very much. We look
Thank
forward to
you.
having you back on the 28th.
Yep, sounds good.
All right. All right, we will take a quick recess in order to break down and get ready for executive session. So 5-minute recess.